Hi, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I make videos about books. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow. In this video, I will be reading authors who write YA and adult and reading their adult books. Now, for the most part, I have read these authors YA. There's only 2 authors in these 4 authors that I haven't read their YA, but I am interested in their adult. So if you don't know, I used to be like an exclusive YA channel and last year switched to adult. So I'm interested to see these authors' adult books. One author I have read from before they're adult and really liked it and just wanted to pick something else up. So I'm reading 4 books for this video and I'm going to show you what I'm reading and then we'll get to the vlog. So the first book that I am reading is Malice House by Megan Shepherd. I don't believe that this is Megan Shepherd's first adult. She has other ones that I can see from Goodreads, but this is the first adult that I have that's made it through my radar. But Megan Shepherd has also written young adult fantasy, which is what scared me about Malice House, because I don't read fantasy at all. It scares me. I don't understand it. It's just not something that I enjoy, but I am excited for Malice House. So we'll see. The next one is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. So Rachel Hawkins is the one that I have read her adult, and I have read Reckless Girls, but I have also read Royals or Prince Charming, whichever one it got renamed. I have read that one and it was just very okay for me, but I did really like Reckless Girls. So I'm excited for this one. This one has such mixed reviews, but I don't really let reviews sway me. So we'll see. The next one is a romance, and this is Breakup by Lily Menyon. The author, Lily Menyon, goes by Sandhya Menyon in YA, and I have read When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanyun Menon. So when I found out that Lily Menyon was the same author as When Dimple Met Rishi, I was like, okay, this book has very poor reviews. But like I said before, I don't let reviews sway me, but I need to know why this book has such poor reviews. Like, what happened? And then the last one is another author who I have not read from, but this author has a ton of YA books, and one of her YA books was adapted as a Netflix movie, and I haven't read it, but this is, I believe this is her YA adult debut. So that is The Unsinkable Greta James by Jennifer E. Smith. So Jennifer E. Smith, like I said, has written a ton of YA contemporary. I don't know much about this. I got this when I was first getting back into Book of the Month, and I got it because of the cover. It took me, this came out in March 2022. It took me literally a full year to realize that this was the same author as all of those YA contemporaries. So this is the book that actually prompted this video. So we'll see how it goes. So I am reading 4 books for this video. These 3, including Malice House, which I don't have, but if I like it, I will buy it. So let's roll the vlog. Okay, so I'm like 25-ish% into Malice House and I'm liking it a lot. So we're following Haven, whose like super famous author father died a few months ago and left her the house. So now she is at Malice House, which is a little bit off of Seattle. No, I don't know where it is. It's definitely in Washington State. So anyway, so strange things are happening in the house, but not like, it's very subtle so far. I'm only 25% in, so it's definitely a little bit of a slow burn. But the other storyline is that she has found a manuscript of her father's that she's never seen before, and there are people in the town that are trying to like finagle it from her to get money for this manuscript, which she is like, obviously it would, like, she found it, it's her father, it belongs to her, but like weird things are happening with the people in town with the manuscript as well. So far I kind of like the manuscript storyline better than the house, because the house storyline is a little bit slow right now. However, I just stopped in the middle of a chapter to do this update, and something is happening with the house. Like, she just woke up and she has like gashes on her ankles and she's bleeding and she doesn't know what from. So definitely interesting. I don't like slow burn romance, but I do like slow burn thrillers. So, or horror, or whatever the fuck this is. So I am liking this so far. I'm liking the writing a lot. I am 72% into Malice House, and I feel like I cannot give you an update where I tell you what is happening in this book, because I feel like all of it is a spoiler. So what I am going to say is that I am liking it a lot. There have been a lot of things that have been revealed in about the last 15% for me. So like, things are going down now, and it all leads back to the house and the father, whose name I never remember, and this creepy town. So I'm really liking it. It is more of a slow burn horror, which I don't mind at all. The only thing I don't like is slow burn romance, and that's just a personal preference for me. But anything else slow burn I seem to really like. Also, this audiobook is 13 hours, which is a longer book. It's like over 1400? No, ma'am. No. 400 page book. So with that, we are getting a slower burn. So like, I still have 25%, and that's like 4 hours in the audiobook at regular time speed. So a lot of things are happening, and I'm just like, okay, but what else can happen? Because Lexi told me that this does lead a little bit into fantasy towards the end, and I feel like I'm starting to get inklings of that. So we will see, but I am really liking Malice House. However, I still don't think I would read Megan Shepherd's YA fantasy, because that, like, first of all, I'm not into YA anymore. Second of all, I'm absolutely not into fantasy. So I don't think I could do it. I do think she has other adult books out, though, that I would be interested in. So we will see. Hey, this is editing Michelle. I did not do a last update for Malice House, but I do know that I gave it 3 stars, and that's because my last update was at like 72%, and the last 25% was all fantasy. And unfortunately, I didn't have the book in front of me, and I was just listening to it, and I completely lost the plot. Like, I cannot tell you anything that happened in the last 25% because it went fantasy, and my brain went, you're done. So I gave it 3 stars. I did not buy it. I know that I think there's a second one coming out. It's going to be a series. I probably will not read it because of how fantasy leaning the ending was. If it had stayed horror, it would have been fine. I remember something about like swords. It was literally months ago. It's August. It's the end of August. And I think I read it in April. So that's how long I have been working on this video. So, but 3 stars for Mels House. I'm sorry that I did not update. But I think I didn't update because I was literally so confused. So, 3 stars for Mels House. Hello. I am 49% into Breakup by Lily Minion, I think. And I like it. It has a dismal rating on Goodreads, like a 3.19, which is, in my opinion, not good. However, I'm liking it. Yeah. So we're following our main character, who is a website developer, and she has created this dating website, and her rival, who she just happened to hook up with in Vegas not that long ago, created a website called Breakup, where people break up with your significant other for you, so you don't have to deal with it. And she thinks that he stole her idea and stuff, and it's enemies to lovers and second chance and all that, and I honestly really like it. I see no problems with this book. Maybe it's really bad in the ending, I don't know, and I haven't really been feeling romance lately, and I still think it's good, so I'm liking it. I don't know what the issue is, I'll let you know, but I mean, I don't see anything bad with this book. 49% in. I finished Makeup Breakup. I liked it. It has a 3.19 rating on Goodreads, which past Michelle would have never ever picked this up because I used to look exclusively at reviews, but I don't do that anymore. So my review just said, this has really low ratings, and you know, don't look at ratings before you pick a book up, because I gave this 4 stars. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. Like, I felt like the main character was relatable, like she was going through so much, and I really liked that she was going after her dream. Like, her dad wanted her to be a doctor, and she absolutely did not want to do that, like had no interest in doing that, and she stuck up for herself like every single time. So I absolutely love that about this book. I just like anything that has to do with like following your dreams and like your career, I always like grasp onto, because like I don't think anyone should tell you what you could do in your life and bring you down. So I really like this. 4 stars. I will be keeping this. I did not like, well, she goes by Senyan Menyan in YA, and I didn't really care for the YA stuff even when I was exclusively reading YA, but I would pick up Lily Menyan's more adult stuff. Like, I had a good time with this. 4 stars. I will be keeping it. I am 38% into The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, and all I can say is that I have read this book twice this year already. Not the same book, but the same concept twice, with The Housemaid and The Last Mrs. Parrish. This is the same book once again. Why have I read the same book 3 times? I don't know, but we were following Jane, I think, who hooks up with this guy whose wife went missing a year ago, and now the relationship has moved extremely fast and they are already engaged, and basically she's just there for the money because she grew up poor. And I'm not kidding when I tell you that this is the plot of The Last Mrs. Parrish, and I don't care if that's a spoiler, because this is like, why have I read the same book 3 times? I read The Last Mrs. Parrish this month. It's June. I read that 2 weeks ago. I am confused as to why this book was published 3 times. Anyway, my only thoughts are that I have read this book before. I don't have like negative thoughts. Just like I'm confused. Which one was, like, The Last Mrs. Parrish came out first, and then this one, and then The Housemaid. So I don't know what to say other than my only thoughts are I have read this book before, and I gave The Last Mrs. Parrish and The Housemaid both 4 stars. So that's all I have to say about that. I am 62% into The Wife Upstairs. I feel like there is literally so much I can't even talk about with this book, but it is a Jane Eyre retelling, which I have never read and will never read. So I cannot fully compare it to that, but I can compare it to the other 2 books that I was talking about in my previous clip. And though I do feel like they're similar, there are definitely some differences. It's just like really jarring when I've read 2 books that are very similar and then I read another one that feels similar to those as well. So that was like my frustration last night, is that like they all felt so freaking similar, but this one definitely feels a little bit more different, and that's probably because of the retelling aspect, which once again I know nothing about and will not research. I truly don't care that much. I'm not a classics girly. I'm not gonna pretend like I am for you. So let's see if I can tell you anything. This just says it's a timeless tale of forbidden romance, ill-advised attraction, a wife who just won't stay buried, and like B is missing, and that's like all I can really say about that. I guess if you've read Jane Eyre, you know more than I do, but I'm almost done. This feels like a solid 3-star right now. Like, absolutely nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't really feel super exciting, even though it's a thriller. I just like feel very meh about it, but like not enough to DNF it. It's so short, it's so easily written, it's just like very not original. Is that because it's a retelling? Is that because I've read 2 books that are very similar to it? I can't really tell you, but right now, 62% in, it feels like a 3-star. I finished The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is not my first Rachel Hawkins as adult. It is my second because I did Reckless Girls for another project, but I really like that one, so I was hoping to like this one as well, and I think that this one, I could be wrong, I don't know, correct me, but I believe that this one was her first into adult. I think I'm wrong. I'm gonna keep that in, just someone correct me. But I actually really like this. I was very upset that the plot in the beginning felt a lot like 2 other books that I had literally just read, but it turns out not to be like that. At the end, it goes in a completely different direction, which I really liked. So I'm happy about that. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, which is 4 stars on Goodreads, and I'm thinking of keeping it. Normally, I keep books that I rate 4 and 5 and unhaul everything else, but like I kind of really like this, so at least for now I'm going to keep this, and by the time I wrap this video up, I will let you know if I still decide to keep this. But like I just thought the direction that this went in was pretty good, so I could be persuaded to give it 4 stars right now, if I'm being completely honest with you. I was just like really mad yesterday that it felt like the same plot of 2 books I literally had just read, and I was like, why? Is it because all thrillers are the same, or like those 3 thrillers are the same? I don't know, but I was having a mentee about it, so I was being quite a bitch, if I am being quite honest, but no, I'm fine. It was different. So 4 stars for The Wife Upstairs. I liked it. It was good. I think I like Rachel Hawkins, at least the 2 adult that I have read by her, but I wouldn't go back and reread any of her YA because I read Prince Charming and it was just okay. So I like this. I am 31% into The Unsinkable Greta James by Jennifer L. Smith. I have not read anything by Jennifer L. Smith, even though when I was reading YA, she was writing the kind of stuff that I was reading. I just never got around to it. I know a couple of her books have been adapted with Netflix, which I think is really cool. But this is her adult debut. This came out last year. So what we were doing is we were following Greta James, who is like an indie singer-songwriter. I am trying to think of a comparison, but unfortunately I only listen to Taylor Swift, who is not indie, so I got nothing. Anyway, her mother died 3 months ago, and she is going on an Alaskan cruise with her father, and she and her father do not get along, and it is because he never really liked that what she wanted to do was play guitar and sing and do all this stuff, and her first big hit was called I Told You So, which is basically a big fuck you to him, which rock on. But I am liking the writing of this, but I am not necessarily loving the story, because what I told you in those 2 sentences has been what has happened in 100 pages. So like honestly not much is happening. She's having, like a hard time with her dad. She's met this guy on this ship who seems really cool but is also nerdy, and she keeps saying like this is a guy I would have fallen for if I would have like stayed home in Ohio and like settled down and all this stuff, but she's like an indie rock star, so she didn't do any of this stuff. I 31% in, I don't have a lot of thoughts about this. I don't know what to tell you. It's a book that I'm reading right now. The only thing I can tell you is that I'm liking the writing, and I like Greta. I think she is a great main character, but I'm not sure. The first thing I thought when her mom had died was that Jennifer E. Smith, who is mostly a YA author, did the whole YA dead parent thing. Like, she could not let go of the YA dead parent thing in her adult debut, and I thought of that immediately. But I feel like the dad's a jerk, and I don't really love that. So we'll see. It's a book that I'm reading. I am 68% into Greta James. I'm really liking it. It's definitely, I am really trying to get into contemporary fiction, and I think that this is a good start because it is something that I'm interested in, which is music. And it's short, so like I don't feel overwhelmed with stuff like that. But I just have to remember that there's like probably not going to be romance and all this stuff, and that's fine. So Greta and her dad had a heart-to-heart, and he basically said that like he doesn't support her or whatever because she like, it's not like what he had dreamed for her. And when I was in high school, I really, really wanted to be on Broadway and moved to New York. And basically, I was told I would not be supported in doing that because it's not what my parents had pictured for me. And if I could go back in time, that's definitely something that I would change for myself. So the fact, like, I get Greta. Absolutely, I understand Greta way more than I thought I would. Because if I could go back in time, I would definitely still pursue the Broadway thing, even if it went nowhere. Then I at least tried. So I'm really liking this. I can't believe how fast this is going. Like, from last night when I finished reading at like 52% to just now, I think I read 30 pages and I made it like 15%. So I think it's good that I'm starting out with something like this to get into like contemporary fiction. I will not be calling anything women's fiction because there's nothing called men's fiction. It's just called fiction. So it's contemporary fiction or just fucking fiction for me. Okay, I will not be calling anything women's fiction. Fuck that. Hi. I finished the Unsinkable Greta James and I cried. Like real tears. Like I had to like wipe tears away. It was real crying. Like sometimes I just tear up and I count tearing up as crying. But no, I actually truly did cry with the Unsinkable Greta James, and so that means I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. So the thing is that I don't think I would read any of Jennifer E. Smith's YA, but whatever she comes out with next as adult, I would absolutely read. And the thing is that this book kind of has a low rating, and I probably wouldn't have picked it up if I didn't have this video and I already owned it. So I'm trying to like focus on books I own, but I picked it because I knew I was going to do this video specifically. So this ended up being my favorite book for this video. 5 stars for the Unsinkable Greta James. I went into this knowing absolutely nothing. I knew that she was like an indie singer. I thought it was gonna be like Daisy Jones and the Six. It absolutely was not. It wasn't anything like that. I was completely wrong. I don't know what I was thinking, but I absolutely love this book. It is such a quiet book, and it's sad and happy and all these things, and I just freaking love this book. So 5 stars for the Unsinkable Greta James. Obsessed with this. I will be doing a wrap up. But yeah, I cannot suggest this book enough. God. Hello, this is the wrap up for, I think I'm calling this YA to adult. That's what it's been called in my head. So I started this so long ago. So I'm gonna try to remember what these books are about, but you know me. So the first book I read was Malice House. I have not read anything by this author's YA because I've not read any of this author's YA because it's fantasy. I don't really read fantasy, but I did read Malice House and I gave it 3 stars. I loved the beginning of this, the atmosphere, the creepy house, the story, but then the second, like the last third of this was all fantasy, and like I was only listening to it via audiobook. I didn't have it in front of me and I was completely lost. Like I checked out of this book. So 3 stars. The next one is Breakup by Lily Menon. I know that I gave this 4 stars, but I remember absolutely nothing about this, which is fine. I will be keeping this. I feel like I could probably reread this again in one day, but I do remember really liking this. So I will be keeping it. I don't remember much about it. Something about a tech company? Maybe. The next one is The Wife Upstairs, and I have read Rachel Hawkins' YA, and I have read Lily Memon's YA. So those were the only two I had read. I really liked this one too. This was a very light thriller. It reminded me of another book, and I was very mad about it in the clips that you can see, but I really like this one, and I really like Rachel Hawkins. I read Reckless Girls, that was for a video that ended up getting scrapped, but I've liked all of Rachel Hawkins' adult, so I will continue to pick up all of her adult. Really liked it. 4 stars. And then last but not least is The Unsinkable Greta James. I did not say this anywhere, but I have been putting off reading this for months. Like, my hold would expire, and then, or I would like renew it because it was always renewable, and I'm like, I will get to it. And then finally I was like, this is the last book I need to read for this video. Just do it. I didn't even really want to read it, and it ended up being a 5-star read. I hate when I do that, but this was my favorite read of this video. I absolutely recommend it. It is a contemporary, like it's straight contemporary. There is a little bit of romance, but it really has to do with like her dad and being on this Alaskan cruise, and like that's literally it, and it worked so well for me. So those were the 4 books that I read by YA authors who have gone into adult. I really liked doing this, and I could see myself doing this again because like I had read by some of these authors, and I am so happy that they have moved into adult so I can keep reading their books. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching my video. See you in my next one. Bye!
Losing time, I'm fading fast.